My name is Tshepo. I'm originally from Durban. I now reside in Cape Town, where Rewoven is based. Rewoven is a textile innovation project where we're looking to solve the problem of textile waste through the main goal of diverting textile waste from landfill. So in our journey, as with most people that come into the space, we found that textile waste is a problem globally. And, you know, the question that we came with was, okay, cool, this is a global problem, but what is the problem that exists for us here locally? And, you know, in doing that research and in diving into the industry, because like everyone always says, there's no substitute for experience. We spent a lot of time really understanding the intricacies around our own textile waste problem and the problem that we face here in South Africa going forward when it comes to solving this. So I think Rewoven's been around for roughly, this is our 4th year now. And yeah, the learning never stops really. We're still learning new things around the problem. Our focus is being really obsessed around the problem because that's allowed us to have a really multidisciplinary approach to solving this problem, because when we started, the issue was just the textile waste. And then, you know, in spending time and speaking to people and, you know, with handling the textile waste, we quickly discovered that the problem extends beyond textile waste. So yeah, that's
just elaborate a little bit on that, Tshepo. What are the problems just besides the textile waste, and where you're seeing just let's go back to the textile waste itself. Where's the biggest problem? I mean, I think you're dealing mostly with factory waste.
Yes.
And then what are you seeing? Are you seeing system problems with this? Just expand a little bit on that.
So on our front, we started off obviously wanting to understand the textile waste problem. And, you know, in approaching businesses that produce a lot of textiles, we quickly found that our company was taking on the identity of being a textile waste management company, which is not what it is that we're here to do. And this speaks to what Dr. Linda spoke of, because if you're looking for circular economy solutions, you're looking for resource efficiency. You're not looking at textile waste management as an isolated issue. So we quickly found that systematically there were issues around how it is that around textile waste, issues from attitude, the level of responsibility that people feel around the waste that they produce, how it is that this waste is transported, how it is that it's reported, the verification of what is reported, and then it extends to things like logistics, things like labor resource efficiency, and then also what it is that's produced from the textile waste.
Wow. And Tshepo, are you finding people, is there a shift? Is there a change happening, or are you seeing progress in attitude and in the waste management, and is less waste being produced? I mean, you work closely with some factories. Are you seeing them become more conscious of the waste that they're producing, and are they more conscious of the materials that they're using, because only certain materials can be recycled?
I'm going to say yes. We are seeing a shift in attitude and the level of responsibility that people feel around textile waste. But in a lot of cases, you generally find it's still what's in it for me. And that's generally the thing that holds us back from being able to provide the impact that, you know, we intend to provide as somebody that works in the resource efficiency space. Because of how industries such as plastic, paper, cardboard have, you know, been able to develop and become industries that can provide rebates and things like that to producers of this waste. The issue that we generally find is that, well, I'm giving you this, what's in it for me? And that becomes an issue when you're trying to build a business, because at the end of the day, whatever it is that you do has to relate back to a business model that is sustainable as well.
Sure. And do you want to talk to us, before we move on to the next slide, talk to us a little bit about the blends and the problems and what you're finding that is being produced and wasted, and then what can be used in the recycling systems that currently exist in South Africa.
Cool. So yeah, I believe Dr. Linda also spoke to this, and there was a discussion with, I think it was in Dando. Yeah, there is a great level of complexity that exists around textile waste recycling, especially if you are trying to recycle for upcycling, which is obviously to take it back to fabric and have it come back into the clothing retail space. So one thing that we've discovered, in really working with textiles is it's really difficult to tell what is in the clothing material that we have. We're generally told it's 100% cotton or 50-50 blend, and we took on the exercise of actually testing some things like with a lab to find out what it is that's actually in the stuff that we get. And yeah, you'd be really surprised as to what it is that you can find in things that are labeled as 100% cotton. So there is a great level of complexity that exists in textile recycling, and it exists because of the opacity of the textile value chain and what it is that people are required to report along the way. So yeah, that is one of the greatest problems when it comes to textile waste recycling, and how it is that we move forward through transparency. And I know transparency is something that you advocate for in a big way, and that truly is where the basis of us solving this problem is going to start. Like, it's really, really important that we are transparent throughout the value chain in order for us to be able to provide solutions that solve this problem.
Wow, thanks, Tshepo. So we're going to move on to the next slide. Yeah, there we go. I mean, that's really interesting because I mean, I've heard, in the I think it's the Dutch circular village, the circular, the Silicon Valley of the textile industry in Holland, where they say that so many of the labels are just incorrect, which is very problematic. Yeah, so yeah, tell us about your plans with textile to textile, and then I think how are you leveraging technology to recycle and to solve these problems?
Cool. So our goal has always been to be able to create a recycled fabric that can go back into the retail supply chain. And it's a very ambitious goal because of the amounts of technology, or rather the advancements of technology to produce this. And we've quickly realized the complexities that exist in being able to produce this, because there's the beast that we're facing, that we're challenging as well while trying to do this, is marketing. And there's a lot of false marketing that goes on around textile to textile, and how it is that works, and how it is that is achieved. That process is incredibly complex, and yeah, it just requires a lot of information along the way that is not being provided to consumers. So as we've gone as a business, we've consistently committed ourselves to with new information, changing the way that we view things, or changing the way that we plan to do things. So yeah, we still are on the journey of being able to produce textile to textile. What sort of textile we produce, that might have changed. So yeah, that's basically what it is that we're currently working on. And in terms of technology, through our exposure, like Dr. Linda said, in terms of working with people from different industries who are looking to just solve a problem, it's been really interesting to see the type of solutions that people have created that could be leveraged in our industry to help in achieving resource efficiency. And we've been really fortunate through our platform, Future of Fashion, to be able to have experts come in into the country and speak to us about their different innovations. And last year we were able to speak to a professor from the University of Borås who spoke quite expansively around, technology and the role that technology is going to play and has already played in solving some of the European problems around textiles. And one which is really interesting is around blockchain, and how blockchain allows for a great level of transparency along the value chain when companies buy into making use of the products. And one of the really interesting technologies that he spoke about, it actually spoke more so to social sustainability and allowing there to be transparency around wages and whether wages have been paid, and the level of the amount of money that people are paid in these factories, which speaks to it must always be a living wage in order for it to be sustainable. So there are solutions that exist that are around us, that we can leverage within our own industry to help solve our problems.
And you want to speak to that last point? I think Linda spoke about it as well, the investment in R&D. I mean, there's so many exciting things we'd all like to explore, but
that one it's an incredibly frustrating one, when we think of how great this problem is. This is a huge problem that we're facing that contributes and impacts all of our lives, and just to think that it's so difficult to, advocate for somebody to invest in a problem that is so great is, yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. But one thing that we found is that, the West is responsible for a lot of these problems that, that we are facing today. And as things play out around this whole climate change and, green economy thing, the West does realize that there is a huge responsibility on their side to, to come up with solutions. And one thing that I would encourage people to do is when it comes to investments into R&D and experimentation, is look to them for them to fund the experimentation that you're looking to do, because there are avenues, there is funding for those things when you actually just have a look. So yeah.
That's great. Tshepo, thank you so much. I'm going to stop the share. There we go. Thank you.